Hextall.
Don't beat around the bush. Say one way or the other, Mike.
Did Ron Hextall?
No, Ron didn't play a good.
When we need him, and when times are hard on him, we got to rally around him and pull him out of it and help him the best I can. He's still making saves for us, and he's carried us before, and I'm sure he'll rebound and be there for us again.
What about this final game, number 7? Who has the momentum, and what will be the keys to look for?
Well, I think that's the same as what we felt all, for the whole series. We want to get the puck in and put some pressure on him and get some shots and, do some forechecking. And, we certainly have to take away Mark Howe. He's played well for them this series, and he's a big part of that team. We have to get on Ron Hextall. He's so good with the puck. We have to make sure that, we don't give him a lot of time. If we dump it in and he stops it, that we don't give him so much time because he saves on their defensemen. They don't have to go back so far. So I think it's just good forechecking and getting the puck out of our end, not allowing them to forecheck.
The winner of this game gets to host the surprising New Jersey Devils for the Patrick Division title. In Philadelphia, I'm Mike Forrest.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. The game begins right after this Sports Center, and Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement will be calling that action. And already some disturbing news of a disturbance prior to the start.
Well, we're going to go to the rink right now and find out what happened. The Flyers have been involved in this before, and I guess half the ice is not enough to warm up with, right, fellas? Is that the problem tonight?
Yeah, there was a cluster right around the center red line. This was by no means anywhere comparable to before Game 6 in Montreal last year. We know that Ron Hextall was into his concentration, was hunched over. When we looked around, we were up here on our platform, turned around, we noticed about half a dozen players milling around for the Flyers and about half a dozen for the Capitals. Pretty soon everybody came over, and Kerry Frazier, who is the backup official tonight, scaled the glass, dropped down into the penalty box, grabbed a pad and paper, was making notes, and caused them all to disperse. So there has been something eventful happen even before this game starts.
I think if anybody is waiting for the same kind of sparks to fly when the puck is dropped, they're going to wait a long time. This is a Game 7, and both of these teams do not need to get their respective teams in any kind of penalty trouble. So I think it was venting of a little bit of frustration early that we might not see early going in the game. I think there'll be more control exercised once the officials are really on the ice.
We want to wheel quickly through the other series that will be developing, of course, Boston-Montreal.
You know, Mike, you picked Boston to go to the finals. This might be the year that they get by the Canadians. They're playing very well with Kluzak and Wesley on defense, and with their improved goaltending, along with Mats Naslund being injured for Montreal, I think Boston's got a real good chance to get by Montreal.
I like their goaltending. St. Louis and Detroit, two splendidly coached teams.
Even without Steve Yzerman, I think Detroit is deep enough to get by St. Louis.
Edmonton and Calgary, Civil War in Alberta.
Well, this is the one that we will be traveling west to cover. Calgary has too much going right now. They are deep, they are healthy, they have it all. I think Calgary can get by Edmonton, but don't sell the Oilers short. They're still the champs.
Winner of this one gets the New Jersey Devils. And in case you're interested, Chris and Tim, the Flyers hit the ice at 6:50 tonight. It took the Washington fans 2 minutes before they started the Hextall chant, so they're a little slow.
Well, they weren't sure how to pronounce LaForest, right? Are you guys surprised in any way at all that Hextall is in there, or was there no decision, kind of a no-brainer for Mike Keenan?
I don't think, I think it was a no-brainer for Mike Keenan. He has to go with the guy that thinks he is the best when the game starts, and that's what Hextall does. He won the Conn Smythe last year as the MVP in the playoffs. He got him here. You have to go with him. I think the question now is, how long will he last if he falters early? That's the big question on our minds right now.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And, Bill, just keep the tie on tonight.
No guarantees, guys. No guarantees.
I-95 is going to miss those guys when they go out west for the next series, because they have gotten to know every foot of that road, and it continues with New Jersey next.
They really have. We've got a lot more ahead on this edition of Sports Center, including action from Amelia Island. No, not on ice, on the tennis front.
And we will preview tonight's welterweight title bout in Las Vegas to find out who's bad, Freeland or Starling. Stay with us.
The Meadows introduces television you can bet on. Watch every race, bet on every race. It's almost like being there. If you're watching this announcement, you can bet by phone as you watch every Meadows race. Tune in to win every Meadows racing night 1/2 hour before post time. Call now to start your Call-A-Bet account by phone with just a $50 deposit, and you can charge it to your Visa or MasterCard. Make additional deposits and withdrawals anytime. Call-A-Bet. Television you can bet on from the Meadows.
When you've got cable, you've got the ultimate in television. A world of choices coming into your home. Discover our difference. Come on, climb aboard for unlimited adventure and find something for the kid in everyone. Cable has all your favorite characters. From Mickey and Minnie to Wally and the Bee. Cable is fun and games. It also stirs the imagination of young minds. Discover our difference during National Cable Month.
The NHL's Cold War heats up. The battle for the Stanley Cup is underway with the divisional playoffs. The action continues tonight, live on ESPN.
The women have come a long way in tennis, and you can thank the obvious legendary names, like Diedrichson, Billie Jean King, and in the modern era, Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova. Now, the Evert-Navratilova rivalry is not the only one worth talking about in women's tennis, not at all. This afternoon, the two that are going to be legends perhaps met in the semifinals. We're talking about Gabriela Sabatini and Steffi Graf in the semifinals of the Bosch and Lohm. Graf was leading 2-love in the first. Sabatini stormed back. Gabby in the near court approaches. She won 5 straight games in the first set 6-3. In the second set, Steffi got tough. She gets Sabatini digging way behind the baseline and then smashes the overhead volley. Graf took a rugged second set 6-4. In the third set, both players had opportunities, but both were tired. Gabby in the far court finds strength enough to go between her legs, and a nice passing shot there. The crowd loves it, 5-5. Now, Gabby went up 6-5 and had a match point. Graf gets a nice lob over Gabby. Now, there's the move between the legs. I was ahead of myself a bit there, folks. But then Graf and Gabby nails it right over the top to make it 5-5. Gabby went up 6-5 and had match point. Net court, it falls out. Gabriela Sabatini wins the third set 7-5 and goes on to the semifinals. Now, in the semifinals, who would she face, Navratilova or Kota Kilch? They met in the other semifinal match in the Bosch and Lohm Championships. Martina serving in the 7th game of the first set. Watch Kota Kilch's volley. Ticks the net. Martina backhands coming back and then drops it nicely. First set to Navratilova 6-3. Second set was no problem either. Martina returning serve will opt for the backhand, and it is a winner. Martina advances with a 6-3, 6-2 victory over Claudia Kota Kilch. Now, by the way, if you're wondering about these two, Martina had won 11 in a row. Gabby has won the last 2, though, against Martina Navratilova, and you'll see the finals tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time here on ESPN. Men's tennis, the semifinals of the Suntory being played in Japan. Stefan Edberg winning in straight sets over gentleman Tim Mayotte. John McEnroe went 3 sets but got by Brad Gilbert.
For WBA welterweight champion Marlon Starling, there's always been one more fight. He's never been able to appreciate his lofty status in the 80s as a welterweight, possibly because he is not flashy like some of the other notable welterweights. Tonight in Las Vegas, he is the champion, not former U.S. Olympian Mark Breland, who we beat for the title a year ago, but still, Starling is a heavy dog. Al Bernstein has more.
When you look at the WBA welterweight championship matchup between Marlon Starling and Mark Breland, you almost have to remind yourself that Starling is the champion. For one thing, Breland has been installed a 2-1 favorite in this fight, despite the fact that he lost to Starling to lose his title the last time the two met. And most of the pre-fight publicity has centered on Breland. Many people wondering what the former Olympic champion has, and they feel they will find out in this fight. In the last bout, Breland was winning on all scorecards when he tired badly, and in the 11th round, Starling got to him and knocked him out. Breland says that's not going to happen this time because he's in better shape and because he's better able to deal with the stress of being in an important fight like this.
Mentally, I drained myself, and it physically wore me down. I was winning the fight, but it was just a thing where mentally, I just wasn't up for the fight. Even in the dressing room and preparing for the fight, my momentum level was really down. I had no motivation for that fight, but I'm very up for this one.
I'm going to be the boss like always. I'm going to do what I have to do to win the fight. I think you'll see a much smarter Marlon Starling. I think I got hit with unnecessary punches in that fight. But the worst that can happen in that fight, or the fight that's coming up, that we get into a fight, for him, it's not good.
Certainly, Starling wants to start faster and even put more pressure on Breland and tire him out even sooner, and he thinks knock him out sooner. Perhaps the most interesting pre-fight quote comes from Starling. He says simply, I made him quit the last time, I'll make him quit this time. Perhaps that logic is too simple, but Mark Breland is the man that has to prove it wrong.
Starling, biggest purse he's ever fought for as the champion, $450,000. And if he wins this, then maybe he finally gets the big money bout that he really deserves.
And he needs the money. He's got some financial problems because of his management and his handlers. Now, we've got boxing news as Julio Cesar Chavez and Rodolfo Aguilar met in a junior welterweight title bout. We'll have results of that coming up tonight. And Lexington, that story, horses we're talking about.
Even golf.
Yes.
Even more. Stay with us.
Why don't we get something to drink around here?
In time, in time.
Great, because I'm ready for an ice-cold squirt. That light, tangy, fresh citrus taste hitting my tongue.
Water? Where's the squirt? Squirt? What do you think this is, boy? A country club?
Give your thirst a squirt or Diet Squirt.
If weeds seem to pop up overnight in your lawn, fight back with the Weed Popper. The Weed Popper makes getting rid of weeds as easy as 1, 2, 3. No more messy, costly chemicals. No more back-breaking weeding the old-fashioned way. The Weed Popper is self-cleaning and rust-free. Win the war against weeds and fight back with the Weed Popper. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The Weed Popper makes a great gift.
At True Value, Ace, Service Star, HWI, Coast to Coast, Hardware Hank, and Our Own Hardware.
PGA Tour moves north one state this week from Georgia to South Carolina. And the winner's jacket is red, not green, at the Heritage Classic. And spectators of all sorts were out to watch the golf at Hilton Head Island. Defending champion Bernhard Langer, tough day. At this stage, he's only 2 under for the tournament. Watch his second shot on 18.
When Kurt was putting the roar.
And does it have a chance? Can't get it much closer than that. And he had the tap in. Putts were falling for Fred Couples, who was the leader. At this point, he was 13 under par, and then on 14 for a birdie. Yes, he was going to run away with it until he double bogeyed 17, including missing a 5-inch putt. On 17, Dr. Gil Morgan, I tell you, I get all choked up watching a guy come off the fringe and use the stick for a backboard. David Frost, South Africa. Rolling in a birdie on 16, a birdie on 18, and all of a sudden he's 1 shot behind Fred Couples. Couples, 68 today, is 12 under par, 1-shot lead over David Frost, 3 shots better than Gil Morgan. Sandy Lyle, trying to win 3 in a row, is 8 shots off the pace after a 67. Ladies still playing. They're out on L.A. during the second round. Amy Alcott is home with a 5 under par, 139. She has a 1-shot lead after a couple golfers still on the course. The seniors are in Houston. Yes, John Brody, yes, the quarterback turned golfer, is 68 today. And so the second round, he has a 1-shot lead over Bobby Nichols and 2 over Chi-Chi.
On to horse racing now, where the top 3-year-olds were warming up for the Kentucky Derby at the Lexington Stakes at Keeneland. Last week we were talking about fillies in horse racing. Today we're talking about a long shot winner. Risen Star was the winner. Won at the Louisiana Derby in Bossier City, Louisiana not too long ago. Risen Star stayed about 4 lengths off the pace, then won in a photo finish over the favored 49er. And 8:42.80 in a time of 1:44.8. That's the official time for the official winner, Risen Star.
Guess what? We're coming back in a minute.
I trust you.
That's what they told us.
Trust us. We'll be
they
right
told
back.
us.
Don't they give you anything to drink around here?
They're coming. They're coming.
And when they do, I'm gonna open me a squirt and ease that light, tangy, fresh citrus taste up to my lips. Water? Where's the squirt?
Squirt? What do you think you're on? A cruise ship?
Give your thirst a squirt or Diet Squirt with 100% NutraSweet.
I'm Spike from Job's. How do you help keep your trees tall, green, and handsome? With Job's Tree Spikes. Watch. Surface fertilizers can get partially washed away, but Job's continuously feeds vital nutrients where it counts, at the roots, so your tree looks tremendous. Thanks to Job's Tree Spikes. Job's Spikes for shrubs and young trees, too. Job's does the job at the roots.
The future of women's tennis is at hand, but the old guard is fighting back. See the final match of the Bausch & Lomb Championships, live Sunday afternoon at 4 Eastern on ESPN.
Do the Caps get off the schneid? Off the playoff schneid tonight against the Flyers? We shall see. You remember where we were at this stage a year ago? All of us.
That's right. Now, we're supposed to be here at 11, but remember, it's he and I together tonight.
With
After
Mees over
Tom
there.
Mees, could be a while. Tom Mees is around in a short while with the Stanley Cup tonight. Stay with us here on ESPN.
For Ron Hextall, 1987 must seem to be a very distant past.
Play made by Gretzky. Nice pass to Paul Coffey. Headman to Messier. 3-on-2. Shot, stick, save. Hextall, and he hangs on.
What once was coming so easily, now is not.
Here's a shot and a goal from the point. Kevin Hatcher blasting another one home. Beating Hextall this time to the glove side.
Where is the magic of that grand rookie season gone?
The left and ahead with it is Gretzky. Over to Coffey. Backhander. Save. Hextall, and he looked behind.
Are the 1988 playoffs real, or is it all a bad illusion?
Stolen puck at the side of the net. Christian. Cross-checked by Marsh. Here's a shot and a goal by Pavelka. A backhander to whip it in past Hextall.
Which Ron Hextall will we see come night's end, or will we see him at all? The answers lie ahead with one game to decide whether the Flyers or Caps move on. ESPN, the network of the National Hockey League, presents the road to the Stanley Cup, the oldest trophy competed for by professional athletes. The Stanley Cup playoffs, the most grueling competition both mentally and physically in all of athletics. Who will be the sole survivor come the end of May? Tonight, ESPN's Road to the Cup rolls on, night number 7. It's the final game of the Patrick Division semifinal series between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Washington Capitals.
And once again, a very pleasant good evening, everyone, across the United States of America, and welcome to one of the most exciting moments in sports, the 7th game of a Stanley Cup playoff series. The Washington Capitals and the Philadelphia Flyers. Last year, the Capitals had a 3-1 lead on the New York Islanders. It was they that would be forced to a 7th game. This year, the Flyers led the Capitals 3-1, but now the Flyers are forced to play a 7th game and away from home at the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. The Washington Capitals have never won a 7th game. Will they get off the schneid tonight for a pre-game report? Let's go live to the Cap Center now. Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement. Guys?
Tom, there's a question about 7th games, about whether there's really a mystery to 7th games. Bill, is there an answer?
I don't think so. I think all the cards are on the table. Everybody knows what they're facing. The only mystery coming into tonight's game was who was going to start in goal for the Flyers. Well, we know that now.
We do, and they've been singing his name here. Hextall, Hextall, Ron Hextall, the man who got them here, and as Tom indicated at the top of the show, got them all the way to the finals last year, is in goal for Philadelphia. And Pete Peters, a guy who's had a reputation in the past of not having the capability to win the big games. He's shown in this series that he's won the back-to-the-wall games. He can really turn it around with a victory tonight. How about the edge?
I don't think I've ever seen as great a shift in momentum as I have in this series. It was all Flyers early. Now we'll look at the edge. It's all Washington. Offense, well, we'll call that a push. Defense, Langway is back, so the advantage goes to the Capitals. Power plays, the Capitals came alive with 4 power play goals in the last game. Penalty killing, that's a push, but the intangible. That momentum, this big home game, but keep one thing in mind. If you're Brian Murray of the Capitals, you have to be telling your team in the locker room, never, ever count the Philadelphia Flyers out before the game starts, especially when it's a 7th game.
Tense night for the Capitals, tense night for the Flyers. Big night for us. This is as good a popcorn as there is in the NHL. Enjoy, everybody.
You better believe it, Mike and Bill. And 1 year ago tonight, remember, it was Game 7, the Islanders and the Capitals. It started at 7:30 Eastern Time. It ended at almost 2 a.m. Eastern Time. The Flyers are 4-3 in 7th games. The Washington Capitals have never won a 7th game. Who will prevail tonight? We'll find out next on Road to the Cup.
Hi there. You looking for Mr. Right?
Give this guy a light. And Bud Light here.
Ask for Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Because everything else is just a light.
Thanks. Keep the chains.
In every town in America, there's always one place that does a little bit better job of fixing your car. And it seems the things they all have in common are great mechanics, great service, and Napa parts.
Well, spring is here. And to make sure your car takes the change of seasons in perfect stride, stop by your Napa Auto Care Center now for our spring specials. Look for the sign of quality car care. Napa.
Experience excitement on the fast track. Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt leads the field in the bumper-to-bumper action of the first Human 400. Sunday afternoon live on ESPN. They'll fight like cats and dogs in this SEC clash. The highly ranked LSU Tigers battle last year's conference champions, the State Bulldogs. Sunday night, live on ESPN.
My name's AJ. And my name's Brittany. We're here to tell you about T.S. Chrysler Plymouth, the only exclusive Chrysler Plymouth dealer in the Valley. T.S. Chrysler Plymouth sells cars made in America. These are the cars that keep Americans working. Don't you think it's time you should care about made in America? So come on in. Fine service, low prices, and the red carpet treatment. And tell them AJ and Brittany sent you. T.S. Chrysler Plymouth in Sharonham.
KBL Entertainment Network is bringing home the Bucks on cable TV again this year. Follow the Pirates with John Sanders, Lanny Fratteri, Steve Blass, and Jim Rooker as they call the action on the 1988 Battle in Bucks. For the best on cable, tune to the KBL Entertainment Network in your area.
ESPN's Road to the Cup is being brought to you by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. And by the 1988 German-engineered Volkswagens and your Volkswagen dealers. And by the crisp, clean, imported taste of Labatt's Blue. It's blue heaven.
And in just a moment, we'll be going live to the Capitol Center, Landover, Maryland, for the opening face-off. Capitals and Flyers, Game 7. This is all there is. There isn't any more. And for the winner, the New Jersey Devils await. You know, the Washington Capitals, without doubt, one of the most puzzling teams in all the National Hockey League. Loaded with talent and that magic word potential for the last few years, the Capitals have never lived up to that potential or talent. They have never, ever gone past the divisional finals in the tough Patrick division. Could this be the year, or will the Capitals lose Game 7 tonight, and will the question marks remain? And if they lose Game 7, will head coach Brian Murray remain behind the bench in Landover, Maryland? Well, we spoke to Brian Murray about this Washington Capitals team. He says this team this year is different from past teams, has a lot more character, and he says that this year he knew that the Washington Capitals players were capable of something special in the playoffs.
Way all of our players are playing so disciplined and trying to do things, and the goaltending of Pete Peters right now is really sound. And we have everybody healthy going into the final game, and I think that was the bottom line. If we'd have been healthy the last time in here, I think it would have been over tonight. But unfortunately, we do have to play a 7th game, but maybe fortunately we have to play because our players have come a long ways, and maybe now some of the people will believe that there is a lot of character and a great deal of heart in this team.
Well, the Washington goaltending is healthy. The Flyer goaltending is healthy in body. You have to wonder about the psyche, though, Ron Hextall. That still is the big question in my mind coming into this 7th game. Let's go live for the opening face-off now to Bill Clement and Mike Emmerich.
Thank you, Tom. The troubleshooter, Don Koharski, who has had a lot of the significant playoff games in the last 2 years, is the referee. Rob Finn and Bob Hodges are the linesmen. Ron Hextall in goal. He has been everything in the past, but this year it has been difficult. There's a guy who was so strong with Boston in some key playoff games, and sometimes that gets forgotten. But against the Philadelphia Flyers this season, he has not done that well, except at playoff time. Sutter, Brown, and Derek Smith. Sundstrom, Corriveau, and Hunter. Those are the starting lines. Samuelson and Howe on defense for Philadelphia. Hatcher and Langway for Washington. The first dump is to Hextall. Derek Smith tips it back. And it moves in on Pete Peters. Peters swings it. It's tipped by Hatcher, stopped by Mark Howe. Tried to shovel ahead, but it's forced deeper by Corriveau. Shell Samuelson drills one that goes by Brown. And Scott Stevens must chase.
You know, I have to agree with what Tom said before the game. Ron Hextall is on an emotional, mental teeter-totter right now. The first few shots that he faces will be crucial to his performance tonight.
It is Dave Brown to Derek Smith, and it's tipped back. Striding back for this is the captain of Philadelphia, Dave Poulin. Galley able to brush it along to Scott Stevens. Two men there, Poulin and Stevens on the ice together, who have had heroic roles for their teams. Poulin last year, Game 7 against the Islanders, playing with broken ribs. And Scott Stevens coming in to play the 5th game here, despite a shoulder injury to the right side. Here is Brad Marsh with a shot that ricocheted off Galley. Turning for it is Stevens. After him is Poulin. The puck forced further by Tocchet. Hammers one, and that one went around and past Marsh and down. Turned over to Doug Crossman. Banked further, but that one knocked away by Ledyard, and then he's hit by Tocchet, and his helmet pops off. On with it is Pavanka for a shot that's tipped wide. Overskated, and a shot in front is blocked off by Brad Marsh from Christian. Ledyard drops it back in. Another rare sort of mistake for Hextall in trying to handle that puck. Kelly Miller burrows in. Hextall out to play it. Pokes it free. Zezel turns it along to Sinisalo. Hit by Ledyard. The play comes to Craven. One-on-one against Murphy, and a shot. Casually saved. Rebound. Came right in as Peters stood tall and got the pad on it. Now Sinisalo to Howe. A shot. That one caught the outside of the goal on the post. Howe hit hard on the play by Larry Murphy. Stoppage as the puck was frozen. And we'll get a face-off in the Washington end.
You know, the sign of whether or not these teams are ready to play, especially the Flyers, is are they making contact? Well, I'll tell you something. The Flyers have established their forechecking game early. They are in there banging people. Obviously, the Flyers are not going to go out with a whimper. People might think, hey, last game they lost 7-2 at home. Forget about it. It is a proud team. This will be a real clash tonight.
You see some of the numbers pertinent to the series. Tim Kerr will take the face-off for Philadelphia. Kerr is in his 6th game. This the 7th one of the series. He has no goals. Hatcher in, drives it away from Kerr. It's popped further by Bobby Gould. Gould has applied real back-breaking goals. 2 short-handed in the last 2 games for Washington. Penalty away from the puck. High sticking is the call, and the first man to go to the penalty box will be Shell Samuelson. Washington will have a power play, and Dale Hunter, is it, or is it Greg Adams? It is Adams. No score, first period.
Hey, I like your new car. Thanks. It's got loads of power and really holds the road. You need all that performance? No. But it's nice to know it's there. You really have to take care of a car like this. A car like this is supposed to take care of you. That's why I bought Michelin's.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
There's number 22, Greg Adams, who was just helped off the ice. He was high-sticked by Shell Samuelson. It did not escape the eye of Don Koharski. So the Capitals, who have been red hot, they struggled all season long in the power play. Well, if you're going to get your power play together, now is the right time. 4 power play goals in Game 6 in Philadelphia, and that 7-2 victory. So we'll see if the heat carries over.
Overall in the series, they are 7 for 39 on the man advantage. Many of the fans here are wearing white, and they are also waving white tonight. They've been outfitted with white shakers, similar to what New Jersey fans had in their first home game of their series. Poulin shorthandedly drives one that is tipped to the seats by Pete Peters.
Boy, his confidence has come on, Pete Peters has, as this series has gone on, and we've talked about Pete not having the reputation of being able to win the big games. He has gone miles and miles to shaking that monkey that's been on his back. And tonight is the night that he can finally, I think, rip it off and throw it someplace else.
Saw two Caps fans in the hallway. One of them said to the other, within my earshot, tonight the label changes. That's a story not only for Pete, but for this team.
Well, we said that when the Capitals were down 3-1. They set it up, although it was hardly intentional. They set up a situation where they could shake all of those negative labels that have been surrounding them for so many years. And now they're finally here. This is it. Game 7.
Larry Murphy. The play is out to Hunter. And Dale Hunter just lobs. He and Crossman turn to play it. Hunter centers. Poulin is right there and clears.
You know, the longer this game goes on, with Ron Hextall not really being tested, the more confidence he's going to have. His guys have really given him a lot of protection. He hasn't even faced a shot yet.
Neither team with a shot, but then Gartner's bullet went off Marsh's stick and ricocheted wide. Staggering is Ridley. The puck played by Hunter out to Murphy, and it kicked off him and must be taken by Stevens. The Caps must regroup at center ice. Larry Murphy's pass is to Gartner, feathers one back to Stevens. Stevens eyed by Tocchet, the play to Gartner, but it is drilled back down by Brad Marsh. Halfway through the power play, 16:20 to go, first period, no score. Game 7, best of 7, between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Washington Capitals. Stevens' pass, slowed by Gustafson, taken by Christian, and Christian swirls, rolls one across the goal mouth wide. Sinisalo tried to clear. We get a stoppage of play as the net has become dislodged, and Don Koharski points the faceoff back out of the zone.
Well, I'll tell you, Hextall is not shy to challenge. Here he is. Watch Dave Christian go around Brad Marsh. Hextall all the way out. That's a real good read by Hextall. He knows that he has Doug Crossman right there in front, number 3. He has no Capitals barreling in, so do what he does best. Still be aggressive. Get out there and challenge.
Past history has shown that teams like to keep the puck away from Ron Hextall. Do we anticipate that that would change tonight or not?
I'm going to try and watch for it. I think that if a goaltender is struggling, all parts of his game fall apart. And I think Washington might feel that way as well. But if you end up giving him the puck too often and realizing that his game hasn't fallen apart, then he is back and he has been able to shake off the effects of subpar games 5 and 6. Then where are you? Then you're playing right into his strength. I think Washington will probably continue to try and keep the puck away from him.
8 seconds left, power play. Pivonka moving in. Puck banked around. To take it is Kevin Hatcher. Out of the box, Samuelson. Hatcher's drive goes wide. Galley there had it tipped away by Poulin. Back to get it is Bent Gustafson for the Capitals. No score, 15:20 to go first period. Teams at full strength. And Hatcher lobs, forcing Crossman to chase. The defense for Philadelphia is Crossman along with Howe. Tim Kerr is up front. Scott Mellanby is there, and Derek Smith. Capitals retrieve, and it is Ledyard banking one along to Rod Langway, who missed 2 games in this series. Gould off Ledyard. Sized up by Marsh and checked. In deep is Leach. He's hit by Greg Smith. Suicide work. Capitals fans want a penalty. Ledyard banks. It's taken by Leach. Faked it, Gould, and he hurried a shot wide. It was tipped after he let it go. And the Flyers are able to toss it out of play, so we have the clock stopped with 14:41 to go in the first. No score.
At Volkswagen, our engineers believe car and driver should not merely act, but interact. To them, a Volkswagen isn't a vehicle for the driver, but rather an extension of the driver. Our engineers believe the most important moving part of a Volkswagen is the one behind the wheel.
1988 Jetta, only $91.95.
This is the road to the Stanley Cup on ESPN. Tom Mees back at our studios. For a change, he doesn't have other games to watch tonight, but he'll be reporting to you between periods, along with Bill Clement, Mike Emmerich from Capitol Center in Landover. No score, first period. Philadelphia and Washington as a centering pass for Kelly Miller was disrupted because of Samuelson's checking. Ahead with this is Zessel, drops it off to Mark Howe. Then to Shell Samuelson. A pass for Craven was tipped away by Gartner. Galley back, checked by Craven, but the puck rolled along near Scott Stevens, who throws Zessel out of the play. Guided back up by Sinisalo, followed up by Stevens, gets away from the front of the Zessel check. Craven rammed into Kelly Miller, and Craven went down. We get a frozen puck and a stoppage of play.
Well, Don Koharski had a real good view of that action. He was about 8 feet away. Tonight, what do you see? You see two teams very well prepared to play this hockey game. In Game 5, we were here, and we saw the Flyers with the chance to deliver the knockout punch. Langway was hurt, and Scott Stevens was on the limp, but he was in uniform, and the Flyers really didn't play the physical style that they've become known for. Well, tonight they are. Washington is dishing it right back. This looks like a battle. So far, the variable we are not sure of, Ron Hextall. Is he on top of his game? A couple of times the Capitals have had a chance to just get a shot on net, and they shot wide. We don't know yet.
Gustafson pass back checked away by Poulin and dropped in by Propp. First one there, Tocchet drills it wide. Around it comes to Brian Propp. Centered one, and that one tipped away. Moving for it is Crossman. Poulin in front wants it. The puck flipped over the glass, and so again, a face-off to result, and this time in the Capitals' end of the ice. Yeah, he got it. Not sure how difficult this decision on goaltender really was. Mike Keenan said earlier in the series, I declare a #1 goaltender and I go with it.
I don't think it was a difficult decision for him at all. He didn't tell everybody, so a lot of people can speculate as to the difficulty of it, but he is his man. Ron Hextall is Mike Keenan's man. But you know, that brings up an interesting point. If you live by the one goalie system, sometimes you die by it. Same as the two goalie system. You live by it and you die by it. I don't think there is one system better than the other. It's whichever one works. But you can see the problems of a one goalie system. When your goalie gets cold, what do you do when your backup hasn't played a lot and is not used to big hockey games? Then you're in trouble when you use a one goalie system.
Hunter lost. And so Howe and Samuelson, 2 and 28, turn to chase. Samuelson trying to wedge it away from Christian and is able to play it back in. Pete Peters sets it up for Rod Langway. Langway's pass missed for Hunter and is corralled by Samuelson. 13 minutes, 10 seconds to go. First period of play. The puck dumped to the Poulin corner, but there first is Hatcher. Ripped back along to Christian. Outlet pass to Gustafson. Up the wing, but it's back checked away from Pavanka.
Good defensive play by Brian Propp. He knew he was beat to the outside. He just dropped his stick behind him and cut the pass blind.
Hatcher angles, and Howe will chase. This will be an icing call. Clock stopped. 12:47 to go in the first period. We have no score.
Blue. Labatt's blue.
Evening is night.
Blue heaven.
I hurry to mine.
Smooth.
Clean. Crisp.
Labatt's blue.
Turn to the right.
Imported beer from Canada.
We'll lead you to mine.
Labatt's blue. Yeah.
Heaven.
The first goal scorer in each of the previous 6 games has been the winning team at the end of the night. And you can talk about all of these unusual things all you want, and it doesn't mean a darn thing. Sutter and Hunter, 2 strong nominees for our Junkyard Dog team, have drawn, and Grant Ledyard is up with it. Flicks to Hunter. It's tapped on over for the throw-in by Corriveau. Wedged off by Marge. Hextall able to spin it along. Off the glove of Sundstrom. Back to Murphy for a shot. That one slowed. Poked away, and Sundstrom falls trying to get it. Hunter forges it behind, but is ripped back along by Hextall. Dave Brown can't play. Murphy drops it back in, and so Brad Marsh will turn.
He's matched up with Greg Smith on defense. Marsh saw Corvo follow through on his check after he passed across. This is Dave Brown. Has Sutter moving and gives to him. Sutter plays it across. Marsh got a shot in on goal, and that's swept aside by Peters. Backhand attempt by Derek Smith, foiled by Murphy. Ahead with it, the Caps. Outlet passes to Sundstrom, trying to pull away. Backhander is directed wide. Play continues. Capitals fans upset that there was no penalty there. As the puck glanced all the way back down, there'll be no icing. Shift change on for both teams. A pass goes by Bobby Gould. And back to get this is Huffman. There will be icing on this play. The puck sent across both the center line and the end lines and touched by the defensive team. Many of the fans here wearing white tonight and waving white, as we mentioned. 18,130 of them. That's capacity.
Here's the break by Peter Sundstrom. It was a two-line pass until one of the Flyers touched it on the way from the Cap zone over 2 lines to Sundstrom. You can see Brad Marsh getting back, and you got to stick up under his arms. Once you get your stick right against somebody's chest and get it under that far arm, all you have to do is twist it a little bit. You can see the results. Peter Sundstrom just twisted down onto the ice by Marsh.
Yesterday morning, the morning after Washington's 6-game victory, there were 1,180 tickets left. The box office opened at 10. The 1,180 were gone in 12 minutes. Zezel for the faceoff opposite Hunter. Huffman and Crossman guarding the blue line for Philadelphia. Encroachment by Zezel. Ron Finn says leave. So it'll be Craven coming on. From the sticks being crossed, it's Scott Stevens. Stevens with a pass to Adams. Tried to hurry it along, but Sinisalo got in the way. Booming check by Stevens on Zezel. And Stevens able to steer it back up to Adams. A 3-on-2 developing. Bobby Gould back to Adams. Has a man breaking. Cross-ice pass to Galley, and he one-handed it wide. It looked like a setup that might not work, but Galley steamed in the right side and got a chance. On with it now is Craven. Craven tied up by Galley, centers one, and dropping to block that one away is Stevens. Gartner right back for Washington. Off the stick of Gould. It's fielded by Huffman. Dropped back to Stevens. Crossman must chase again, and the Caps take this opportunity to make a change. Moving in is Kelly Miller. Has been a thorn in the side of the Flyers through the whole series. This is Hatcher. Checked by Huffman. Hooked at by Huffman. Throws it in on goal. Blocked off by Hextall. Behind they work. Backhand attempt knocked down. Crossman trying to out-wrestle Miller. Loose puck. Thrown away by Kerr, but there'll be a penalty coming up to Philadelphia. Washington will get its second power play midway in the first period. Scoreless right now.
Volkswagen engineers have spent years refining our front-wheel drive, rack and pinion steering, and 4-wheel independent suspension. Because the engineers of Volkswagen believe it's not just how fast you go, but rather how well you go fast. 1988 Golf, only $79.90.
The Capitals' pressure has been able to get them another power play here from behind Ron Hextall. There is Doug Crossman, and he is fighting with Kelly Miller. I think right about this stage here is when Don Koharski picks it up, and you can see that Crossman just swung around and held Miller. So the faceoff is in the Flyers zone. Here's Washington on their second power play. Flyers did an outstanding job on the first one, killing it off.
Gustafson, Pavanka, and Christian. And the puck knocked down by Poulin and Propp. One of the premier duos in up-front penalty killing in the league. Now, the 2 men in back will be the veterans, Samuelson and Howe. Hatcher will work one point. Gary Galley will work the other. Pavanka plays over to Christian. Has it knocked away by Howe and sped back out by Poulin. Turning is Hatcher. Loses to Propp. Sent ahead for Howe. Poked it through Gary Galley, but it is swung just wide of the net by Gustafson.
He missed the short side high by inches.
Pete Peters was pointing to his stick right then. That didn't catch the stick of Peters, did it?
I don't think so, but I've seen guys aiming for the short side miss it by further than that. He was just trying to put it around the boards. Mark Howe had moved up ice. And to me, it's apparent now that the Flyers are not going to lay back on their penalty killing. They are going to move up and try and force the issue every chance they get. Here's the difference between regular season and playoffs. You can see that those penalty totals are up for both teams. Part of it is because of the urgency of playoff games, but a big part of it is the fact that officials are calling these games the same from start to finish. Tight.
Gary Frazier and Gord Brossiker are the backup officials tonight. The same two who were the backup officials a year ago tonight when we went to 1:55 in the morning. Puck tip over to Mark Howe. Howe has Poulin ahead. Feeds from Propp over to Poulin, and he just couldn't get by Larry Murphy. Murphy and Scott Stevens are in back now, halfway through the Washington power play. Murphy drops one off Hextall, out to swing it into the seats. It went over cleanly. What will be the call? A minor penalty.
You bet. You bet. He's out of here. What a key play. The puck was bouncing. Ron Hextall shot it into the stands. It didn't hit anything. He's out of here for 2 minutes. We'll see what the Capitals can do. Still scoreless.
Blue heaven. Labatt's blue. Imported beer from Canada.
Sold out Capitol Center, Landover, Maryland. 7th game, best of 7 series. Series, of course, tied. This game tied. Along with Bill Clement and Tom Mees back at our studios, Mike Emery. They're waving white. The white team has the power play, and Stevens with a drive that ricocheted off the boards. It's worked back from Hunter to Murphy. Murphy in front to Ridley, sets up Hunter in a short side attempt, tipped away by Hextall. Murphy spins it to Stevens. Back to Larry Murphy. In front, Hunter directs, and it's tipped away by Hextall. Pinching is Murphy. Looks towards Stevens and gives to him. Hatch's drive is blocked away by Samuelson. The 5-on-3 has 23 seconds. Murphy across. Save made by Hextall on Gardner. Incredible.
The more you watch, the more you have to think that number 27 right there, Ron Hextall, is back. He claims to be able to leave every game behind him. That hasn't been the case in this series, but watch this save. Mike Gardner didn't one time, and he had to stop it because he flipped up on edge. And the Flyers are doing an outstanding job at killing off a 5-on-3. Washington all over them. Look at Hextall move from one side of the net to the other. What a step the Flyers could take right here to getting some of that momentum back, to shifting. And Ron Hextall, he has created his own demon. He is the reason they are down 2 men. Shot the puck into the stands. Koharski saw him. For the Capitals, if they want to squash the Flyers, now is the time. They have a 2-man advantage. This is a real key moment in this hockey game early.
18 seconds on the 2-man advantage, and the Caps will lose some of that chasing. Larry Murphy, 10 seconds left on the 5-on-3. Speeds it on in. Has Christian floating up the wing, gives to Stevens. In front, the tip by Pivonka, saved by Hextall. Rebound to Murphy. Murphy finesses over for Christian. First man back on the ice. Christian's pass blocked off by Poulin. Forced behind, though. Pivonka gets it from Gustafson and returns. Pinching along is Stevens. Fires one that ricochets off the boards. To get it is Larry Murphy. 50 seconds to go on the 5-on-4 power play. Christian is there. Duels with Shel Samuelson. Samuelson able to clear. Shift change. Brad Marsh comes out to join Samuelson in back. Ron Sutter working up front with Craven. Murphy and Stevens still the point men for Washington, and they bring it up ice. Mishandle, but Murphy is able to loft one off the glove of Sutter. At the line, Craven battles. Puck hand pass, and with that, we'll get a stoppage of play. And 21 seconds to go on the Capitals' remaining power play time.
Well, if I had to give Ron Hextall a report card right now, I'd have to give him an A+, and it's not because the Capitals haven't been able to score on him. I think they played their 5-on-3 reasonably well. Hextall's decisions have all been good. The last time the Capitals had a rush on the 5-on-3, they tried for a deflection in front. Hextall read it, moved out. He broke up the deflection in front of himself by himself. His decisions have been strong.
Brian Murray, the coach of the Capitals, said this morning, he said, I'll use the word, people say that we've choked in the past. We can rewrite history. It's the type of opportunity, he said, that you dream of.
He has handled all the pressure pretty well, too. He has been under the gun for a couple of years here. Every year that the Capitals go without knocking off everybody in their division, people obviously look to the coach. They look to Brian Murray. And I'll tell you what, for a guy under the gun, he has held up very well. He has been a picture of stability here during all of the gunfire.
So also has the goaltender Pete Peters. Play develops near Mike Gartner. Gartner, the leading goal scorer this year with 48. Curls. Penalty time is up as he throws one near Brad Marsh. Hit hard by Miller. Gartner turns. Tocchet there for Philadelphia. Gives it up to Ridley. Spun behind for Miller. Miller able to reach, but is chased off by Brad Marsh. Stoppage of play. And down on all fours is Mike Gartner. There'll be another Philadelphia penalty, and Ron Sutter is the man who will head to the box. Gartner appears shaky, but okay. 7:13 to go in the first period. It's still scoreless.
The new Volkswagen Fox is a lot of car for the money. For instance, a powerful 1.8-liter fuel-injected engine is standard. So are power front disc brakes, rack and pinion steering, and four-wheel independent suspension. Now, we could have done what some did. Cut the standard features and offered less car for less money. But we'd never pull a stunt like that. That isn't the Volkswagen way. 1988 Fox, only $62.90.
Without question, Don Koharski has his X-ray vision working tonight. He has whistled off Ron Sutter, and should the Flyers continue, they have to realize that they are playing with a loaded gun. It is pure fire. The Caps went 4 for 9 on the power play in Game 6 in Philadelphia 2 nights ago. And here, right about where the faceoff is taking place, you can see is where Ron Sutter took out Mike Gartner. Not a dangerous guy. He was all the way out of the zone, didn't even have the puck. The Flyers have to kill another one off.
12:47, elapsed time in the period when the penalty was called to Sutter for high sticking. Mark Howe lays it back over to Samuelson, who drills it back down. Now they'll use Murphy and Scott Stevens on the points again. Up front, the Caps have Pivonka along with Christian, and trailing all the way back at the Philadelphia line. Out of your picture is Gustafsson. So they go with the same power play unit as before. In with it comes Christian. Pivots away. Looks back to Murphy, but gives in deep to Pivonka. They get crossed up. The puck to Prop, who clears. Critical point in the game Bill mentioned a moment ago, and you hear just a few boos from the fans. They've seen plenty of opportunity here, and thus far unrewarded. Play goes back over to Christian. Throws it in deep. Turning is Pivonka. Lays it back over for Christian. Checked on the play by Craven. Christian able to turn. Dips it off to Pivonka. Back along to Gustafsson. Looks to Murphy, but controls himself. Then hands to Murphy. 50 seconds power play. They're keeping it to the outside. Gustafsson threw it across the goal mouth wide. Scott Stevens on to Murphy. Backhands to Christian. Backhander kicked out by Hextall. Then covered. Stoppage of play.
Gustafsson had a hold of Brad Marsh's stick in front of the net. Brad was yelling, "Let me go." What a key opportunity for the Capitals in this hockey game. Depending on how this game turns out, they might look back. Here's Ron Hextall holding his ground again. Looks pretty stable to me, but the Capitals have had their opportunities on the power play in this first period. Have to capitalize. If you were going to write a script for a hockey game, wouldn't you write it with you having 3 power plays in the first, 14 minutes of a hockey game? Sure you would. But then the next part of the script would have a scenario of you scoring on some of those power plays. That's something that the Capitals haven't done. See it down there in the bottom right? We're looking at an 0 for 3 situation for the Capitals. And the longer they go without scoring, I think the stronger the Flyers are going to get, especially given the fact that they are killing penalties here. Scoreless, if everybody is playing at even strength, isn't quite as important to the Flyers as them going into a locker room saying, "Boys, we had our backs to the wall. We killed all the penalties. Hextall is getting stronger. We're here. We're here."
Hextall slides it up to Poulin. And turning to play is Gary Galley. Flyers make one change. They bring Prop out to go along with Poulin. 27 seconds to go on the 4th Washington power play. Ahead with it comes Galley. Side by side with Hatcher. It's bounced near Hextall. He corrals and flings it off. It's sailed by Hunter and right to Dave Poulin, who charges out with it. Hands over to Prop. Prop up the wing. Galley moving on him. But all this time, power play time, is going off the board to the Capitals. 3 seconds and 2 as Hatcher hits center zone. Hatcher carries out of the box Sutter. The puck back to the blue line, but it was outside. And so when Galley brought it in, 4 of his teammates were in the zone, and we get an offside call.
I think we should point out as well that should the Flyers, well, they've killed off this one, so they've killed off all of the Washington power plays in the first period. That doesn't mean the Washington Capitals are going to shrivel up and die just because they didn't score in the power play. I was the guy that stood right up here about 10 feet from where I'm sitting with a fly swatter before the last game that we did here, saying this fly swatter is not nearly big enough because it said Flyer swatter on it. I said the Flyers are going to move and win this series tonight. Washington has really impressed me with their mental toughness, and I think they've shown a lot of people that there is probably more character on this Washington team than their history would indicate.
Good point, and that's a history that maybe we should document again if we get a moment. Puck dropped back out by Peter Zezel. Brought along by Leach. Broken up by Zezel. Without a stick, he controls in his skates and then hand passes it along, and that'll bring us a stoppage of play. In 1985, against the Islanders in a best-of-5, the Caps won the first 2, lost the next 3, and went out. In 1986 against the Rangers, the Caps led 2 games to 1, lost 3 in a row, and went out. Last year against the Islanders, the Caps won 3 of the first 4, lost 3 in a row, and went out. And that's when the choke label came.
Something about an extended overtime game here, too, wasn't there?
Yes. A year ago tonight. And one of the men who had one of the better chances, Bobby Gould, has just won this faceoff to Ledyard. Wrapping it around, Crossman guides it back out. Captain Rod Langway scales it back in, and to get it is Howe from Hextall. 4 minutes, 35 seconds to go. First period, we have no score. Up the wing comes Derek Smith. Duels with Ledyard. Penalty coming up. It'll be on the Capitals. Philadelphia will get its first power play pop of the game. 4:32 to go in the first. No score.
What kinds of investments can you make at Schwab? Ask a Schwab customer.
I advise my clients to keep a diversified portfolio. At Schwab, you can invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, even CDs. And you can move between Schwab investments with one phone call. My advice? Diversify the easy way at Schwab.
For a free booklet, call 800-423-3100. That's 800-423-3100.
Adams a hold at 15:28 of this first period. Tom Mees will have the Bud Light scoreboard between periods, and his in-studio guest will be a commentator on ESPN during rounds 2 and 3 beginning next week. The general manager of the New York Rangers, Phil Esposito. So Espo and Tom between periods, as well as Tom checking out the Bud Light scoreboard. I'm sure that Tom is focusing his attention on this game, but it must seem very quiet back there for him since he doesn't have the 7 TVs to watch. Prop with a shot. That one blocked away by Pete Peters. Cleared around by Hatcher, but kept by Prop. Sinisalo turns, blocks up with Langway. Puck shoveled along, and Peter Zezel is in. He and Gustafson collide. Puck taken by Hatcher. Hatcher angles. Prop can't keep. 20 seconds gone on the power play. 4:10 remaining first period. No score in the game. Glad you're with us tonight on ESPN. Along with Bill Clement, Mike Emmerich from the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Crossman angles in to get it curved. Flexed away by Peters. Sinisalo points it back to Crossman. Deals it back off to Peter Zezel. Kerr is at the front. Drive went wide. Prop fires one. Blocked away by a falling Bent Gustafson. And the Flyers have to regroup. Just as Philadelphia had to pick up from killing off 4 straight power plays, perhaps Washington can take some consolation if they're able to kill this one off. Although this is just the first Philadelphia power play of the night. Howe turns it back along with 55 seconds to go on the power play. Eklund slides it over to Samuelson, who unwinds for the angle that is taken by Peters. Flip back to Howe. and he was ready to shoot before he controlled.
What a break. Peters didn't get nearly enough of that. He kind of fanned on the backhand, but it bounced anyway over Mark Howe's stick.
Eklund playing for Philadelphia with 30 seconds to go on the power play. Just over 3 minutes to play in a scoreless first period. Eklund shuffles in. Centers one off Ledyard. Loose puck. It's fed back to Howe. Wrist shot blocked off by Peters. Loose puck scooped up. There'll be a penalty coming up, and it'll be on the Capitals. It's Howe with a shot. Knocked down by Bobby Gould. And Gould just throws it all the way back down the ice, but his team will go short. Protesting is Ledyard. There will be a 5-on-3 for Philadelphia for 14 seconds.
Well, Ledyard's arguing the fact because oh, listen to this. Did you hear that?
A major.
Alternate penalty, number 28, Grant Ledyard. A major for spearing and a
major penalty means that the Flyers can score at will. And whoever serves the major for Ledyard will not come out of the box. That major carries with it an automatic game misconduct.
I'm not sure that Ledyard didn't spear him when he was sitting on the seat of his pants right in front of Pete Peters, and that's what Ledyard, I think, was arguing originally, that he got knocked down.
This call will shorten the Washington bench by 1 for the rest of the night.
Tell you, talk about some key calls that so far haven't affected the game because there's no score, but here we have one. There's the shot by Mark Howe. There is Ledyard down in front. Watch. There's the spear right there, just on the right of your screen. He was sitting on the seat of his pants. He speared whoever the Flyer was standing right in front of him.
I believe it might have been Craven. I think I saw 32. But a team that has 2 defensemen who are playing over injury right now in Langway and Stevens has lost one of the healthy ones for the night in Grant Ledyard. A 5-on-3 power play for 14 seconds. And this power play will extend into the second period unless there are further penalties, and those to Philadelphia. Craven for the face-off with Gustafson. Howe gives it across. Trop waiting. Feeds one. One-time attempt by Sinisalo wide, and it's fed back off the glass by Langway. In 4 seconds, Adams will be out of the box.
Well, that clear will get them out of the 5-on-3 situation.
Out comes Adams with the puck. Howe hammered from behind by Adams. The puck right over to Craven. At the side, Kerr score! Tim Kerr with a power play goal on the major penalty power play. It is 1-0 Philadelphia.
What a touch for a big man. I'm not even sure it was a shot, but it found its way right through Pete Peters. You know, Adams came out of the penalty box here, and you notice that he didn't concentrate on the puck. He just swung wildly at Mark Howe and hit him, and the puck ended up going over to Howe's partner, and there you saw Tim Kerr at the side of the net. Almost looked as if he was trying for a pass. Watch Adams simply hatchet Mark Howe over to Craven, into Tim Kerr, and here's Brian Propp. Absolute pass. That was not a shot on goal. It bounced in, I think, off the blocker or off of Peter's stick. One way or the other, Tim Kerr gets his first playoff goal, and it's a key goal because the Capitals still have 4 minutes and 38 seconds left of this major penalty to kill off. 2:23 to go in this period, so they'll open up the second period with a man advantage as well.
Craven and Howe get the assist on Kerr's goal. Crossman banks it in. Pete Peters behind, lifts one that clicked off the glass and went out of play, so there'll be no penalty to Peters. Again, the ruling is if it goes clean over the glass, directed by the goaltender, it's an automatic finer. But if it catches the glass and then sails into the seats, no penalty.
For those of you who are statistics-minded, the first goal of each of the games in this series hasn't necessarily been the game winner, but the team that scored the first one has gone on to win each one. So the Flyers draw first blood here. There's Mark LaForest standing up behind. He's backing up Ron Hextall tonight. But I'm sure at this stage of the game, he knows that at any time he could be thrown in there.
Come-from-behind wins have been rare in the NHL this Stanley Cup year. Only 10 of the 45 games have been come from behind. But in this series, half of the wins have been on the part of a team that once trailed. Mark Howe turns over to Crossman, then to Ilka Sinisalo. Under 2 minutes to play, first period. In case you're just joining us, Philadelphia leading in the game by a count of 1-0. They're operating on a major penalty 5-on-4 power play. Kelly Miller looks ahead toward Gould, but will carry himself. Took some lumber from Kerr. Miller taken off by Crossman. One-time New York Ranger Kelly Miller loses, but it is Sinisalo now to Crossman, reconnecting with Sinisalo. Eklund hops over the boards, and Kerr steps off for Philadelphia, having gotten his first goal of the playoff year, and it came on the power play. Eklund starting ahead. Pivots away from Stevens. Lays it for Craven behind. Propp yelled for the puck, but it's over to him too late. Craven out in front. They try to get it to Tocchet, and he's able to control back to Propp. Then to Tocchet. Tocchet read the fake by Howe. Hatcher locked up by Craven. Play made to Sundstrom in the final minute of this first period. Again, Tom Mees and Phil Esposito will discuss this, another playoff contest between periods, and Tom will run a check of the Bud Light scoreboard. Big drive by Crossman. Hooked away. Peters able to scoop it up and hang on with 45 seconds to go in the period. The glove hand was one of the things that they felt Pete Peters was lax on when he first came to Washington. And Warren Strelo, the goaltending coach for the Capitals, has worked not only on Pete's agility, but also on quickness with the glove.
You can say what you want about him having deficiencies. Did you see that goals against average 2.78 this year, tops in the National Hockey League? So he played for a team here that's defensive oriented. You got to be able to stop the puck most of the time. You just can't be a bad goalie and get in there and have those kind of numbers. I don't care who you're playing behind.
Peter Zezel and Hunter for the faceoff. It's lifted by Stevens, but kept by Howe. Punches it back along, but it's broken up and cleared back down by Scott Stevens. Stevens, normally a left-sider, has moved across to the right in this shorthand situation. 30 seconds to go on the power play. Winner of this game goes into a best-of-7 series against those surprising New Jersey Devils. It is Peters flipping it back along. It scales out near Crossman. Markow returns to Crossman. 15 seconds to go in the period. Play made back to Howe. Punched away by Gustafson. Slugged back in by Tocchet. Peters scoops over to Scott Stevens in the final nickel's worth of the period. Tipped back along by Gustafson. That'll do it.
And
20 minutes have passed. 1-0 Philadelphia.
You saw Ron Hextall skating off the ice. To me, he is back. I wouldn't have believed that a goalie could turn it off, turn it on with a switch. Ron Hextall had apparently lost his game. Tonight, he has found it.
Through 20 minutes on Tim Kerr's goal at 17:36. The score of the game, the Philadelphia Flyers 1 and the Washington Capitals 0.
Blue. Labatt's blue.
Evening is nice.
Blue heaven.
I hurry to mine.
Smooth.
Clean. Crisp.
Labatt's blue.
Turn to the right.
Imported beer from Canada.
We'll lead you to mine.
Labatt's blue. Yeah.
There are 3 nevers in sportscasting. Never wear your best suit to a locker room celebration. Never yell it's out of here before it's out of here. And even if you have to say Biancalana de Benicas de Balboni, never, never let them see you sweat.
Introducing Dry Idea for Men, the most powerful wetness protection available to man.
Sweat belongs on the ball field, not in the broadcast booth.
New Dry Idea for Men in sports scent and classic scent. Never let them see you sweat.
It's hard to rely on any of your tools if you can't rely on the ones you measure with. So we build the durability into every tape we make. That's why you don't see people replacing their Lovekin measuring tapes, but why you do see them buying more. Lovekin tapes from Cooper Tools. The difference between work and workmanship.
Today, you need an insurance company with a firm financial footing, a company with staying power and intelligence to see you through year after year,
a company with experience you can count on. You need the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT. When you need us most, we're at our best. That's the Hartford difference.
As the road to the Cup rolls on tonight on ESPN, Night 7, the 7th game and the only game of the NHL this evening. Philadelphia Flyers leading Washington 1-0 on a power play goal by Tim Kerr. You're used to me in this studio. You know who I am. I'd like to introduce you to somebody who you should also know without introduction. His name, of course, Phil Esposito, general manager currently of the New York Rangers, as he has been for the past, year and a half,
It'll
Phil?
be 2 years in July.
That's right.
It'll be 2 years in July.
What fans across the country may not know, though, is that before you attained that post, you were also color commentator on New York Ranger telecast, and you will be joining our Road to the Cup team covering the divisional finals in the Wales Conference, New Jersey against the winner of this game, and also Boston against Montreal. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. I'm excited about it. It's nice to be back and working again with Sam Rosen, and I enjoyed the broadcast for 5 years. It was a lot of fun, and it's going to be nice to get back into it again.
It sure is, and of course the caliber of play this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs has been just phenomenal. Let's discuss a little bit your thoughts about that first period. The one question coming in, Phil, was how Ron Hextall was going to react to the pressure. He had plenty of it, and if the Philadelphia Flyers could withstand that and get the lead. And the answer to both questions, in my mind, seems to have been a positive for Philadelphia.
Well, they killed off all those penalties, and I really believe that Hextall, at the beginning, I thought he was shaky. When Christian came down there and put the puck between his legs, and it slid by the goal crease and all that, he just didn't look sharp to me, but on the power play, it looked like he got his mental edge back. Ronnie Hextall's the type of goaltender that has to be mentally ready. Not unlike a lot of hockey players, not unlike a lot of players or businessmen, whatever. If you're mentally ready, you're going to do a good job. And Hextall, I think, has got it together right now mentally. And he killed off that penalty. He made 2 good saves. I think another one on Christian was a backhand.
Right.
That was a good save, and I forget what the other one was, but he made some good saves with it.
Now, you're going to be covering on next Wednesday night. You'll be at the Forum in Montreal as the Montreal Canadiens take on the Boston Bruins. That'll be game 2 of that series. You know the history of the Boston Bruins. You know a little bit about their coach, Terry O'Reilly, but do they have what it takes to overcome Montreal?
Well, I think so. And I think, though, the key for them, as in all the playoff games, is the goaltending. And Andy Moog or Reggie Lemelin, whoever plays, has to play extremely well. But the Boston Bruins, you know, even when I was playing for Boston way back when, there was this thing about playing Montreal in the playoffs. You didn't want to play them. We wanted to get away from them. And indeed, the 2 cups we won in Boston, both times Montreal were eliminated.
Right.
And that does play on your mind, and you do think about that. But I think the Bruins this year, for the first time, I'm not mistaken, we were talking about it before, they're going into this series healthy.
Yeah.
Which also makes a big difference. So we'll just see. I think it's going to be a great series.
The Bruins have depth in goal, too. They have both Andy Moog, and now they have Reggie Lemelin. And so they will be a force to contend with, no doubt. Yep. And we'll be joined by Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement from their perch at the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. We'll talk over the first period of play with the Flyers leading Washington 1-0.
Valley Motors has become the Alakiski Valley's #1 sales leader through one basic philosophy. We want to earn our customers' business.
Certainly one of the things that has made us successful is our product. Ford, Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge.
For example, if customers are looking for a great deal on a new car or truck, they should definitely come to Valley Motors now during our spectacular spring clearance sale.
Doing television commercials? My brother would probably say I do a better job than he does.
I do a better job than he does.
The ship store is open at Wind and Water Boat Works, Western Pennsylvania's largest outfitter for sailing, rowing, and paddling. Come aboard and check out the large selection of sailboats from 6 major manufacturers. Browse through racks of canoes, kayaks, and recreational rowing shells. And don't forget the popular and exciting sailboards. Wind and Water also carries foul weather gear, sailing clothes, accessories, and hardware. Wind and Water Boat Works, Route 8, 6 miles south of Butler and 11 miles north of the Turnpike.